Zainab.
Hi,
So good seeing you.
So good to see you too.
After a long while.
Yeah,
Tell
it's been a
me,
while.
how do we know each other? Remind me.
Yes, so that's a really interesting story. So you were my chairperson, but I didn't know you back then, and we had like so many problems with certain instructors, and so that's why I like came up to you and we discussed certain things together.
Was that your advisor? Because you're an English major?
Yes, you were.
Okay.
Yes, and then you had like so many activities to do with writing competitions and the TEDx talk and everything like that. So yeah, so I kind of like joined, and I saw like you inspired me so much, and that's how like we became closer and closer. And, yeah, now we're here.
Do you remember any specific course that?
Yeah, English 205. I took it with you.
Okay,
which is
so
like public speaking. Yes, and
Right.
who better like to take that with than yourself?
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel so flattered. Tell me, what do you remember from that course? What do you remember from the class climate?
Yeah,
Was it warm? Was it not?
It was really warm. It was friendly and welcoming, but most of all, it was motivating. It was all about self-confidence and self-love and how to be yourself. Actually, not like in public speaking, we think that we have to pretend to be like to look a certain way, to sound a certain way. Yes, and no, you just encouraged me to be myself, and ever since
That's why we're having a coffee together.
Yeah,
I guess so. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have not seen each other in 2 years. Or no,
we saw each other like last
during
time
my
you came.
visits.
Yeah, during your visit.
Right, totally.
Yeah, it was one of like your visits, and it was, I don't know, back in summer.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, absolutely. Okay, tell me a little bit about some remarkable experience. It might be educational and academic at uni, or professional, or something that you pursued as a certificate, something that left a mark, and it may be positive or negative, something that you enjoyed or perhaps had a different feeling. What do you remember lately? Your latest remarkable experience.
Yeah, so my latest remarkable experience was having a master's degree from the University of Birmingham, which is in the UK.
Yes.
And it was an MA in creative writing. So it was very adventurous. I've never set foot to the UK ever in my entire life. And I was 20 when I first got there. I have no family, no friends, nothing there.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't have anything there. Or anyone
How
for
was
that
that
matter.
experience?
Well, it was oddly freeing, very liberating because, in Lebanon, like, you kind of watched all the time. Not that I do stuff that, invite watching or something like that, but like, you feel that you're judged and watched, and, like, everything you do is critical. Yeah, exactly. And everything is taken the wrong way. Like, if they can take what you are doing the wrong way, some people would, So over there, like, no one really cares. You walk on the streets, no one really cares. Everyone is in their own world.
No stares.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone is so focused on themselves, which encourages you to grow, actually. Because you then, when you're surrounded by people so focused on themselves and their lives, you just kind of get like motivated to do the same. It kind of sinks into you. Yeah.
You become less self-conscious, perhaps.
Yes, more comfortable with who you are, which will allow you to do so many things you never thought you could do.
Like what? Tell me about your achievements over there. How did you grow over this past year or so?
Okay, so to be fair, like, it was difficult. I'm not going to make it seem like like a bed of roses. It was difficult. I had difficult times, but for example, I was a very shy person. I still am, but like obviously more like, I know how to deal with it more. But I was the type that if I was with a friend at like a coffee shop, she was the one to order, not myself, because I was like shy to kind of say and to order and say what I want.
You wanted somebody else to take the initiative and go for things.
And I still internally wish, like when I'm with someone that person would do that. But I try to fight it because I know that this is not how I grow. Like, comfort zones is not how a person grows. So I was that type, and I was so dependent and reliant on my parents, obviously, who did everything and drove me everywhere. And like, I wasn't very, I didn't sit with myself.
You missed autonomy and independence.
Yes.
In the right sense of an adult needing that and wanting to become autonomous.
Building a life,
Right.
Building a life and knowing yourself. Like knowing
self-exploration.
Yes, because when you build yourself, obviously when you build a life, you have to build yourself first. You have to know what you can offer, like what kind of life you can achieve, you know, or fabricate or something like that. So you slowly weave it from the strings of your personality, I think, you know.
I like that.
Thank you.
Such a good poetic line.
Well, I haven't lost it.
Tell me about creative writing. How was the experience? How's it different from whatever you have studied and learned here academically in institutions, organizations, or schools and unis?
One thing I can never get over is that they don't really focus on grades, which was liberating as well.
Shocking.
Gobsmacking and you know, because they really don't focus on grades. Like I remember walking into my course convener, which is like British for advisor, office hours. Like I dropped in and I was like, you know what? I think I'm doing a terrible job. Like, am I really a writer? And he was like, Zeinab, where are you getting that from?
Right.
And I was like, well, I get merits, I never get distinctions. Like, why is that? So a distinction is like an A, merits is like, you know, depending on how much, but A minus or B plus, you know, So I was like, and he was like, so you think you're not a good writer just because you don't get a distinction? Do you realize that you're
which
like
is the natural
developing?
tendency for us perhaps here, as we stigmatize, as we tend, because not everybody of course does that, but as we have the tendency, the natural one, to stigmatize, oh, if I don't get 100 on this test, it means I'm not meant to be a physicist or a scientist.
There's
or
something wrong with me. I'm lacking.
So this way of the locus of control is sometimes perceived internally, but sometimes it's not what it seems to be, huh?
Exactly.
So what did he say about that?
So he was like, you do realize that you're 20 and you live in a foreign country that you've never been, you know, to
before,
ever,
at all.
and you're living alone and you're like getting married still, and you're in one of the most prestigious universities in the UK, you know, and it's very difficult to get married.
It's challenging,
of course. It's very difficult to get
getting married,
accepted.
and instead of acknowledging it, you're
like,
perceiving it as something not enough, inadequate.
Unfortunately,
How did that change perhaps a shift of paradigm happened or changed your way of perceiving things, being a little less tough on ourselves and each other?
I noticed that certain thoughts our society like brings up in us, you know,
reinforces.
Yes, are very self-destructive, but we don't realize it. But they're very self-destructive.
Embedded within our skin, there in the genetics.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it is self-destructive. Like instead of focusing on the positive side of the coin, I go like, and I go like, no, I didn't get enough grades, so there's something wrong with me. So you know, like
so their assessment is a little bit more. How can you describe it? What's
their assessment? Yeah, their assessment is based on how much you grow, not where you are, because they know that where you are right now is not where you're meant to stay.
Wow.
So they assess your potential, basically.
What do you think if we tell every single child, student, learner, no matter their age, that this is it, you know, where you are right now might not necessarily mean where you're heading or what your outcome is going to be like? How do you think the world will change?
I think it will change tremendously, because sometimes, most of the times, with me, for example, when I feel that I'm stuck in a situation, I don't get motivated to change it because I feel stuck in it. So obviously it's not going to change. So obviously whatever I do to better my situation isn't going to work, or isn't going to, that's like the train of thought that, you know, happens. And I think if I just realize that, no, in fact, you know, I write my own destiny. Like I know certain things are meant to be, but certain things, you know, I work towards as well. So I am like, I make my life. I'm here to like build. I am the one who builds my life, and if I don't like grab my pen and write myself down, like life will do that for me. Like life keeps moving forward, okay? And if you're stuck, if you're not doing anything, by default you're just being backwards. Absolutely. Because life is just moving on, and you're just stuck where you are. Because you want to be stuck where you are, because you're not doing anything to do it, to change. You know?
Fantastic.
Because you don't believe in change.
Yeah. So you're taking responsibility, accountability over certain things, and you're surfacing it. You're making it look like, which is important, but you're saying, listen, this is what we have to do. We have to own things sometimes. The locus of control for certain aspects in our lives is within our own reach, right? Yeah. So this is your message?
And yes, because sometimes we look at a very successful person and we go like, oh, their circumstances must have helped. And no, that's not true. Like, no, like everyone has challenges. They've been through loads, but the difference is that they took things a bit, lightly. Like, I have this challenge, but I know that I can overcome this challenge, as opposed to, I have this challenge, but I'm choosing to sit right there in the corner and weep for like 7 hours straight and not think of a solution. Because I think it has to do with our egos, because like, oh my god, life did this to me, like we take it personally, like it's happened to me, like how could the world have done that? So I'm not going to be bothered, like the world better like change itself. I'm not going to do anything about
it should stand up for me,
or else
for my
the world
rights.
isn't fair, and like I just don't want to be here, and which can account to like certain mental health issues.
I like how you focus on certain phrases and sentences and manage to say, look, this is the highlight of it. If we keep talking in the same perspective, the world did this to me, rather than acknowledging the fact that I have a certain responsibility over what happened in this situation and how we can perhaps improve it to the better.
Maybe the world
a better question.
did this to you because you're meant to do something greater. Like it did this to you on purpose, but not because it's evil. It's because it wants you to go to another place.
To drive you, to get you somewhere. Absolutely.
But people don't think that.
Yeah, building grit is what matters. To all of us. I don't think there are a lot of successful people who maintain being successful if grit is not there, resilience is not there. However, it doesn't really matter if their IQ is higher than whoever the benchmark, let's say, but having grit is essential, is fundamental, is important, and I'm happy that you shared this experience. Let me shift the perspective a little bit and questions towards creativity, creative writing, creative economy. I know that you've been to the UK and you studied there, and the UK itself is big on creative economy. What they do is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. How do you think the upcoming generation and students of today, while being in high school, how do you see them making a link with creativity and creative economy in the future? They're the upcoming professionals.
I think we're in an age where there's literally too much of everything. So I think if like a person wants to stand out, if something, a business, an idea, anything that needs to stand out has to take a different toll, has to be creative in a sense. Right. And creative isn't like a scary word. It just means, like putting yourself in something, and like because everyone is so unique, that self in this something will be unique.
Why do you think it could be scary?
Because some people go like, oh, I'm boring, I'm not creative. What do you mean creative? Like creative is crazy. Creative is like, something out there. But you can literally just get inspired from the smallest things, and because you got inspiration from something that's so normal and no one has noticed it, people go like, oh my god, that's so creative. But it's like everyone is making the connections that
perhaps were not too obvious to make, but you were the first one to make the connections between two different items, people, places, jobs.
A good example would be your TED Talk. Remember, like the poetry one?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because everyone has it has a keyboard and everyone like types and but no one thought that this represents a whole generation, and each like letter and stuff like that, each key. It represents a whole generation.
Interactive one. iPoetry, interactive poetry, like interactive phones and screens and everything that we have on a daily basis. Would you like to have your coffee while we continue?
And
wrap it up with you. And perhaps question, what sort of organization, institution, or boss you might be seeing yourself best fitted for? That is, in other words, you're in creative writing, right? So where do you see, what kind of frame suits Zeinab in terms of a potential boss, a potential institution? Where do you see yourself? Can you give me perhaps 3 adjectives that you would want? I want an organization to be 2 and 3, or a boss that is 1, 2, 3.
loving, inspirational, and
being
strong.
in creative writing, what does this bring about? Where do you see it?
Strength. You know why strength? Because it takes some courage to write about feelings. Like sometimes opening up your weaknesses is strength. Like acknowledging your weaknesses is strength. So I think like a creative writing figure would be strong, inspirational, and loving. Like there's no way you can write from the heart and not have a heart. So you have to be loving.
So we're moving into what Dr. Brené Brown calls vulnerability, and she has an entire set of research on that and a TED talk on the power of vulnerability. I think this is your message, and this is where the world is heading, because everything else is going to be automated sooner or later with artificial intelligence and robots and all the mechanical and technical things are going to be taken care of in the best way and the best fashion. But what's still up to us to work on and maybe improve is exploring our feelings, the human part of us that I don't think in the near future not one robot can replace that.
Because we don't realize the world within us that we could bring to this world without, outside of ourselves. Yeah. I think once we do, the world would be a better place.
I think you're very promising and inspirational. I think that.
Well, I get that from you.
Oh, give me a hug. Thank you so much,
Dr.